Oh, man. Hey, so Garry Cobb, I'm sure because he was at Southern Cal. Anytime you do a pro day and you get some of the weirdest questions asked, I told you I had Jerry Angelo and I had Rich McKay who were with the Bucks. And G Cobb's going to laugh his ass off before I bring him in on this. They go, how many Mafia family members do you have? And I remember telling Jerry Angelo, I go, excuse me, don't you have an O at the end of your name too? And he goes, yeah. I go, well, how many Goombas do you have in your family? And by the way, if I was knee deep in it, I wouldn't be here. And he goes, touche. I go, your last name has an O, Jerry Angelo? He goes, yeah. I go, Silio Angelo? We must be part of the same Italian mobster family out of New Jersey, right? And Jerry goes, good comment. They're waiting to see how you respond. That's what they want to hear from you. If you'll blow up. They'll ask you some of the crazy. Jeff Ireland asked this question to Des Bryant. How long's your mom been a prostitute? And I remember getting on Jeff Ireland's shit going, what does his mom have anything to do with football? And Jeff said this, those questions now have been modified. You can't ask that shit anymore. But that's the kind of shit that used to ask us, Garry and I, and all the guys that were evaluated. Let's bring him in here. It's a weird process. Talking to these NFL guys when, like, hey, folks, by the way, I want to show you something about Garry Cobb. What makes Garry Cobb so unbelievable in his career, Garry is the 1% of 1%ers. That's a 10-year guy. You know what round he went? He went in the 12th round.
No, it was the 9th.
The 9th, get this.
Yeah.
Folks, they don't even have 9 rounds today. Okay? And he played 12 years. I
11.
mean, well, I'm going to give you the extra one because of love.
That's right.
Garry.
Yeah.
Just about being underdrafted. And why do you think they missed you? Why do you think they didn't
Well, you know what? You know what it is? I was lighter than I should have been because I was running. I wanted to run a good 40 time. And I think I was weighing like 220. And, I ran like, 4.55, but, I was 220 pounds. They didn't want to play in linebacker because everybody ran the ball back then,
Everybody was 250. The backers were 250, like Von Kirkland and them dudes.
That's right. Because everybody ran the ball. So it was natural for me to put the weight on. It wasn't a problem, but I wanted to run a good 40 time, and it really was a kind of a mistake because I was lighter than I should have been. So that really hurt me and everything. But it all worked out. If you can play, they're gonna find out you can play. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to. So I always encourage guys because you got a lot of guys get caught up in everything else is going on. And say, look, if you go in here and you can play, they're going to find out you can play, and that's ultimately what this is all about.
Don't you agree, also, Garry,
mm-hmm.
that to me it's where you're drafted? That must have been a good situation in Detroit for you, that you had good linebacker coaches and good evaluators of talent. That when they initially saw you, they knew, because I made this comment about Burt Grossman a couple of years ago. Burt Grossman's first 2 years, he goes to the Chargers. He has 20 sacks. They get a brand new coaching staff in there with Bobby Ross. They change the defense. He has 2 sacks a year after that because he was not being utilized. Doesn't it matter with this draft? Not only that, if you're a good player or not, but where you're drafted, if you're drafted in a good organization.
Well, that is very important, without a doubt. That's very important. And if you have good teachers, guys who teach the game, and really that's what the Eagles this year. You got to take your hat off to the way, at the end of the season, they got 2 rookies starting. They got a bunch of young players contributing, and that means you got to have good teachers. You got good coaches that are doing their job. But I'll tell you this. Now, Maxie Baun was a guy who really helped me. Maxie Baun was a linebacker coach who I learned a great deal from him. He sit me down and explain things, and then, you got to be able to absorb it. But You got a good teacher there, guy who teaches you, will break things down. He'll sit you down however long you need to be in there to teach you, what should you be looking for in the film? When you're looking at the film of the team you're getting ready to play, what should you be looking for if you're a linebacker? Looking at formations. What do you see out of a formation? Being able to read the offensive line. The guys, come on. When those big guys get tired, they don't care who they're telling whatever to. They don't care, man. So they're going to tell you things. And that's what a good linebacker knows, is they're able to anticipate the play by looking at the stances of the offensive lineman, looking at the formation. You know who they want to go to, who the best players on that team. So you know who they're trying to get the ball to, things like that. But, being able to do that. Now, I saw like Zack Baun this year. Guy had never even played, regular linebacker. He'd only been up on the line, rushing the pass or whatever. I mean, to see him blossom like he did, and to see those rookies come in and contribute like that, great job by the coaches. And I know that there are probably going to be people after some of those coaches if they're smart.
How about this, though, Gary? Here's my problem with where the Eagles are right now in free agency and the draft. Brian Baldinger was on yesterday, and he and I don't believe that this is a very deep draft. And it doesn't look very outside of maybe the top 15 guys. From 15 to 50, they look like the same dudes. And then you look at the shitty free agent market, there's just not a lot of places where the Eagles are fighting a poor draft and they're fighting a bad free agent market, which means look at the players the Eagles have that are free agents. They're all from a winning culture. They're all contributors to the Super Bowl, which means that I think they could be the most devastated team in the offseason here, because think about it, Gary. If I'm looking for a linebacker, I'm looking at Zack Baun right now.
Eagles cannot let Baun get out there. They cannot afford to let him go. They cannot afford that.
Do they have to offer him a contract before March 12th?
I think they got to go ahead and they got to let him know we want you back, and they got to put some money out there. I think that. I mean, I don't see how you let him walk, because you got a guy that contributed so much. You can't let him go. Who are you going to replace him with? I don't see him. Where they at? They got to have him. Now they might lose, one or two of the defensive linemen. You got a better chance of replacing him, or replacing them than replacing him. And I don't think they can let Zack Baun leave out of there. They cannot afford to do it, because he's such an integral part. I mean, I didn't know the guy was this good. I mean, he's very smart. You got a smart player, and you got a very athletic linebacker, guy who can run with a lot of people. I don't think they can afford to let him go. They're not the same team without him, I don't think.
Gary, I think the difference, I was just telling Zander this, I think the difference between 2023 and the 24 defense, I think it's up the middle. You had great tackle play, you had great linebacker play, and you had great safety play. And I don't think you cannot have a number one defense if the defensive tackles are not playing really great against the run. Because like you said, man, you can look at Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons had another double-digit sack year. They were 31st against the run. I don't care how good you are. If your defense is 31st against the run, that just shows me you got to build from within. Don't you agree, Gary, that, I mean, look, if Baun gets on the open market, what do you think the chances of him re-signing are? Because it's a bad market. It's a bad draft for linebackers. If he gets out there, Gary, I don't think they resign him back, because there's half the league is stupid teams, and they'll throw stupid money at him.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think they need to go ahead and get him done. I think he wants to come back, but that's not about that. And he was clear, because I talked to him. I'm standing there talking to him face to face. He said, I'm leaving this up to my agent, meaning like I'm going to let my agent do his job. And that means the agent's going to be out there trying to get the money. I think they're going to have to give him some good money, but I think it's worth it. Who are they going to replace him with? I don't think there's anybody anywhere that's going to come in here and replace him. So they got to get him. If they lose some of the defensive linemen, then so be it. But I don't think they can afford to lose him, because He's proven to be so valuable in so many ways against the run and the pass. He's making more tackles than anybody on the team. He's getting his hands on footballs. He's a good blitzer. He does it all. I mean, and I'm more shocked than anybody because you don't expect the guy to come in and just out of nowhere just blossom like that. But that's what they got.
How about this one here? I think the linebacking room is pretty interesting right now because to me, I think another guy that is mandatory that they sign is Oren Burks, and here's why. Let's just hypothetically say, Gary, that Oren Burks or Baun gets out in the open market and he signs. Dean is not expected back until October.
I know.
So now you have at least a guy who started in your Super Bowl year at the Super Bowl and played great throughout the playoffs. You have one guy in there, and you probably can get him signed for $5 million. Played with Vic. You have a guy there. Again, that Nakobe Dean injury, don't you think, kind of throws a wrench in it a little bit here because what are you going to do here? You can't just let Burks and Baun go.
Yeah, you're right. You can't. So I think, with Burks, I would agree that you can get him. You're not going to have to give top dollar for him, So you go ahead and get him signed, and that does give you a little insurance, because Nakobe's not going to be ready, but you want to go ahead and sign Baun too, but you can get Burks. I think you can get him done. You're not talking about big dollars for him. So I'd say go ahead and get that done.
How about this here? Another position. Again, this is kind of where Howie is. He said it was going to look different. And I think as long as they keep the middle of that defense intact, I think they're going to be pretty good coming back. Like you said, they may lose somebody at the numbers. They may lose somebody at the perimeter. But as long as they keep the middle of that defense here. Now, here's the thing with Slay. I don't think it's that easy of a conversation. So if you move away from Slay, which you probably should, he's 34. He's got a $12 million number. Are you going to move DeJean out there? And if you are, who are you moving into that nickel? Avonte Maddox? Sidney Brown?
I think Isaiah Rodgers, I don't know what he's going to go for. You probably could get him for a good price. But you're not going to re-sign Slay. And but even I wouldn't be totally opposed to even looking at some of the other young cornerbacks they have on the team already. But I don't think you want to move him outside. I definitely don't want to move DeJean outside because I don't think there's anybody else can go in there and play that nickel spot as well as he does. And I don't see anybody coming out that you can find a guy that's going to be able to do the things he does. I think he sticks out better when you got him playing nickel because he's one of the guys that will come up, has no problem coming up, forcing things against run. He's willing to tackle. You're not going to find a lot of corners who are willing to tackle. It must be something in the water or something. You cannot find a corner that is crazy about tackling. You found one in DeJean, and so you got to leave. He's got to play nickel. You don't want him playing out there on the outside because I don't think that anybody, at least this past year, played it as well as he did. The kid will tackle. He covers. He's able to blitz. I mean, they really, man. I know you talk about the coach, and he had a good year and everything, but they were very fortunate with their picks, man. They really had some great things happen, and we'll see if these kids can keep playing like that. But DeJean is he's a serious nickel because he got the size, and like I said, he's willing to tackle, which is unusual because it's become a plague in the NFL where corners don't want to tackle anybody.
No question.
It's a wonder that any of them become fathers because I know how they're able to tackle their lady at all because some of them seem like just opposed to contact. I mean, look, I'm telling you, I'm saying these corners, man, they do not like contact, man.
Dion would be even a bigger star today.
That's right. He would. He would be an even bigger star. That's right. He would.
I want to show you how dominant the Philadelphia Eagles have been at one position, which is crazy. When Jordan Mailata's contract, matures at the end of the day. Do you know when his contract is up that the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 30 years would have had 3 left tackles in Trey Thomas, the big fella that 17, and Mulata, Jason Peters.
Yeah, Jason Peters.
You would have had 3 players.
Wow.
Over 30 years.
Wow.
Playing left tackle. That's
amazing. But hey, an outstanding. Every one of them. Golly, that's amazing. Big Trey Thomas, and Jason Peters and Jordan Mailata. I mean, that is amazing.
30 years of left tackle with 3 dudes.
Woo! That's amazing. They made some good choices. They made some great choices. That's amazing. But that says something to be, to play that position, and you got all pro guys there who are playing at a very high level. You can basically go home and get some sleep at night.
Hey,
the quarterback can sleep at night.
For 30 years, you're protecting the quarterback's backside with 3 dudes.
Woo! That's amazing.
I can't. You can make the conversation about the quarterback thing up in Green Bay where you had Favre and Rodgers and now this kid Love. I get it. That's 30 years. But left tackle, there is no place in the Raiders used to have that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Now you have it here in Philly where 3 dudes will have played 30 years at left tackle.
Wow.
Is just it's a testament to talent evaluation and also coaching here too.
Yep.
2 last ones here for you. Are you concerned at all? Angelo came on and he kind of got into it a little bit here with Kevin Patullo. Here's a guy that has never called a play.
Yeah.
In his entire coaching career. He's never been a coordinator. And what we learned, one thing about what Nick said, which I thought is good coaching on his end, he said that Kellen had a collaborated conversation with everybody on putting a game plan. But at the end of the day, Nick said this, it was Kellen's call. How do you feel about Kevin Patullo having that autonomy? Will they give him that autonomy? And are you concerned about a guy, because we saw it play out with Brian Johnson you basically gave the keys to a Ferrari to a high school student. How do you feel about it?
I don't feel good about it. I don't want to really step on his shot and everything, but I think it's amazing that you would do that. Because like you said, this is Ferrari, whatever you want to call it. You got a team just won the Super Bowl, and you're going to come back the next year with a guy calling the plays who never called the plays. Now he's heard, but there's a lot of coaches that have heard people, call the plays. They hear them all the time and everything, and he's been a part of it and everything. But I hope Nick is right, man, because this would be to waste this year. You got all these guys in their prime. You got all these players. You look at the receivers you got, and with Jalen, with Saquon, with all these pieces in place. And, if you don't get that right, man, woof. But I hope he's right.
You give them do you give them the benefit because they're champs in this one here? Is this? And I know, Gary, look, me and you are the same.
Well, look at they were wrong. Look at they just screwed it up a number of years before that, a number of times. So
I know.
I don't see how you could say, well, yeah, they're going to get it right because, they've missed it before. And to have a guy who's never done it before, that's why I wanted them to go outside, man. Go find somebody that's a sure thing, because you got a team that's in prime condition. You don't want to screw up this year, Now, hopefully he's right, but he knows he's taking a chance.
Look at Gary, what they did. They went outside the organization last year. Look what it resulted in.
Yeah, they got a guy comes in with a resume. He done it before, and really Kellen made a major adjustment. Come on,
he did.
he was not calling what he usually called. He changed the whole rhythm of everything with the way he ran the ball. He never ran the ball like that. Come on. Never did. And he stayed with it, even to the point where somebody's saying, look, throw the ball. He was consistent and did what I know Nick got in his ear, looking at their talent, and they did it the right way. And, and so he's taking a chance, with this, with the guy that he put in there, what's his last name?
Kevin Patullo.
I hope he's right, man. I hope he has a great year, but here he is with a Super Bowl caliber team. And this is his first time calling plays.
No,
he better put on his big boy pants.
Hey, I'm with you here. Finally here. At 32, what do you think the biggest need of this team is? Well, again, February 27th, okay? That all could change after they watch the draft the next 3 days, free agency, all the decisions that have to come. So obviously this is a moving goalpost here, or moving stick here. But for you right now, where you are at the end of the month, pass rusher, because the chances are they're going to lose a pass rusher or two. Yep.
So if you're looking at things now, they could use a pass rusher. Now they got some guys who have shown the potential, but that is the question mark. The chances are they're going to lose some pass rushers. So that's where I would say you want to draft. They add a pass rusher, and of course, expecting to get something out of a kid in his first year is a lot. But hey, that's the business they're in. So you got to go out and find a pass rusher who can come in and give you something ASAP. That's what I see.
Absolutely here, Gary. It's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
You got it. Gary Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Make sure you check him out. I do want to hit on this here, by the way. Before we take a timeout, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Give me a total on the likes now. I mentioned this with Gary. Think about the dominance that the Philadelphia Eagles have had at left tackle. 30 years, 3 players, 2 coaches, Howard Mudd and Jeff Stoutland. There is no coincidence on why you've been so dominant. Guys, let's get over 200 by the top of the hour here. There is no question. Think about, you can't name me another team in NFL history that has guarded the backside of the quarterback with 3 dudes. Incredible. I started looking at the history of the offensive line of the Eagles last night. And I went all the way back to the 04 team. And I started looking at the old line that you guys have assembled. And then I started thinking about the coaches that you had with Howard Mudd. And also with Jeff Stoutland. It's unprecedented that you got great coaches, great talent. Juan Castillo, too. Throw him in there. Absolutely. Look at those 3 dudes that have protected your offense. Dude, the Philadelphia Eagles, the reason why you're successful is because of coaching, talent evaluation, and the way, dude, what did Jimmy Johnson say here on this program? The most important coaches that you could possibly have is your offensive line coach. It's remarkable. We still got a ton of stuff to hit on here. By the way, today was linebackers and D-line. We are going to look at the top 20 players that are in this draft, and I'm going to make a point to you why it's not